Welcome to One-on-One with Mitch, Lafon. And joining me this week from Alter Bridge, it is singer Myles Kennedy. We talk about The Last Hero, their new album, as well as his upcoming solo album and what has Guns N' Roses done for rock. All recorded live at Heavy Montreal. Before checking that out, please check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, MITCHLAFON, and on Facebook, One-on-One Mitch Lafon. If you care to support the podcast, I do have a PayPal link. It is paypal.me/MITCHLAFON. And with that, here is the one, the only, Myles Kennedy. We're speaking with Myles Kennedy of Alter Bridge and Slash's band, and formerly of Cosmic Dust. We got to get that one in there.
The fusion years,
the jazz years,
the jazz odyssey years.
So let's talk about Alter Bridge. Next album is The Last Hero, coming out in October.
Yeah, October 7th.
Napalm Records, of all things.
Yeah.
Is that signifying any kind of change in the sound? Is it going to be more? Is it harder rock, more death metal?
No, definitely. Could you hear me trying to sing death metal? No.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I think it would be interesting. No, actually, you know what? They seemed extremely passionate about the band. I mean, really passionate. So we felt like that was the obvious choice for us, internationally speaking. So, but no death metal on the Alter Bridge front. And as far as the sound getting heavier or anything, no, I wouldn't say it's heavier. I mean, I think we kind of found our place musically, as far as we try to be as dynamic as possible and integrate a lot of different things emotionally. That's kind of the key, is to convey a certain emotion and a certain honesty, and I think a certain something universal that people can relate to. That's kind of it's the important psychology of Alter Bridge. Right. Yeah.
In terms of commitment to the band, now are we looking at doing a whole 2-year cycle on this one, or does Mark go back to Tremonti and do you go back to Slash? Where do we see ourselves with the band now moving forward?
Well, definitely the next year.
Okay.
Definitely the next year, and who knows what will happen after that? I mean, I think where it's the music business, it's so. What I've learned in the 20 years of doing this is that you can only plan so far, because you never know what the variables are going to be and how the record's going to do. And if things go well, maybe we'll stay out longer. But for now, we're definitely going to go pretty deep into 2017.
Is it very dependent on what Slash does with Guns N' Roses, or do you really want to focus on, now it's my turn to do my thing?
Well, I think that, we put so much into this record, and I think it would be appropriate to really go out and promote it and play as many different regions as we can and not cut that short. And as far as Slash goes, I mean, it's going so well, so, I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
When you got word that he was going to go back to the band, which probably goes back to April of last year or earlier, what were your initial thoughts? Like, oh God, it's over, or oh good, now I got a break to do this Alter Bridge thing?
I think that when he told me, there was always a feeling inside that eventually it was going to happen. Right. I mean, it was such an incredible band, and I think that it was inevitable. So when he told me, I think the first thing I said was, you guys are going to make a lot of people extremely happy, and myself included, because I had the opportunity to go and see the show they did in Las Vegas the first night.
Right.
Didn't get to go to the Troubadour show, but I went to the first official show, and it was just, it was just so great to see those guys on stage together again. And obviously there's a certain nostalgic element, but it's just, as a rock fan, it's good for rock. It is, because the magnitude of the whole thing.
Oh, I think it's just incredible excitement about the rock.
Absolutely. It's well needed shot in the arm for rock and roll.
Let's go back to your early days. We jokingly mentioned Cosmic Dust, but you were sort of doing this jazz fusion guitar thing. When did you move into being, okay, I'm going to be a vocalist and we're going to get into putting down the guitar?
Well, the putting down the guitar part, I never
really did.
I mean, I do it when I have to. I definitely prefer playing the guitar. I started as a guitar player. Guitar is my first love. The singing came about Actually, as Cosmic Dust was happening in the early 90s, I'd started another project, and I was writing songs that required having a vocalist, and I couldn't find a singer. So I was like, well, I think I'll just give this a shot myself. And that's where singing really started for me. It was just, I come from a pretty small town, Spokane, Washington, and there's a finite amount of singers and artists there, so I said, I'll just do it myself.
Do you still have an interest to go into other music? I mean, you've done the rock thing with Slash and with Alter Bridge. Do you see yourself at some point going a solo record and doing an acoustic thing or a jazz thing or something just not rock?
Yeah, I think I'll always try and kind of stretch myself. I mean, I do have a solo record being mixed as we speak.
Right.
That is more acoustic based, more singer-songwriter based, and has elements of, there are blues elements. There are it's kind of ethereal elements. That it's definitely not something I could take and play at a festival like this.
Right.
But it's something creatively and artistically I just needed to do and get off my chest.
Now we had, you had mentioned a solo album a couple of years ago. This is obviously the culmination of it.
Right.
What can fans expect, and when do you think you'll release it?
I think that as far as the goal to release it, I'm going to wait and see what happens with this, how long this tour cycle runs, and obviously see what happens with the conspirators and Slash and the guys.
Right.
And so if there's a window, I hope to put it out.
Is it dependent on a window? I mean,
I think so at this point. I really
do. You
do.
need to get it out and tour. You don't want to just drop it.
Yeah, I don't want to just drop it and throw it out there. That would be just... Because the goal when making that record was to be able to go out and just play with a guitar. It's just an acoustic guitar myself. Yeah, and just like me against the world. And although I will say I played it for a friend, and he's like, okay, you got in the studio, you do realize that now it's produced to the point you have enough other layers going, you're probably not going to be able to go out and do this with just an acoustic guitar. And I'm like, well, I'm still going to try. I wanted to do that, man. So we'll see. We'll see when we roll it out, I'll do it.
It's going to be exciting, yeah. Now, there was also the time where you were out with Led Zeppelin. Not out with Led Zeppelin, but let me rephrase that. There were some auditions, I guess, or rehearsals. Talk to me a little bit about that. Just getting in the room with those guys. Do you learn anything from them?
Oh God, it's still. I mean, it's been 8 years since that whole thing.
Yeah, 2008, 2009,
and it still doesn't really seem real, but it did happen. I think that just standing in a room with the guys who essentially wrote the blueprint for what you do is it's heavy. It's heavy, and when you hear them play the songs that you grew up listening to, and were essentially the very pivotal points in your development as far as an artist, and to hear them play that and stand from there, this distance is really. It's hard to put into words. It's just kind of crazy.
How close did it actually become to being a touring entity and getting out there?
I don't think it was extremely close. I think they were just trying. They wanted to play. I mean, initially, I think they were just. I think when they did the reunion at the O2, they had a great time, and I think they were itching just to play again. And so Jason Bonham called me up and asked if I'd be interested in coming over at one point, and I said, yeah, absolutely. It was kind of informal initially. It was never like, we're going to put it was. Everything was kind of
hang out and jam.
Yeah, I mean, it was never like this super formal thing in the beginning.
Right.
And it went well, and then I went back later on, a few months later after I finished the tour with Alter Bridge, and they were just trying to, I think, suss it out and see what they wanted to do. So,
were any recordings made? Any kind of new songs, or any kind of let's record the jam sessions and put out the live?
I think there was some jamming. There were a few things that there were two tunes I remember in particular that we jammed, and I just kind of scattered over the top, improvised over the top. And for me, that was the highlight, in a lot of ways, because these were things that have never been released. These are ideas that hadn't been heard by the world for the most part. And just so as a fan, to be able to hear that was just, it's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing.
It's just crazy.
And we'll finish on this. We are in Canada. Brent Fitz and Todd, both Canadians, from Calgary and from Winnipeg. Any words about those guys?
I mean, not to gush too much, but you guys should be extremely proud of those cats.
Right. I mean, not their hockey team choices, but
yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, seriously, they're just amazing musicians and great people. You know, there's a story about Brent. We were in Russia, and Todd had to fly back home for something. It was an emergency. It was like health.
With his eye.
Yeah, with his eye. And Brent was like, "Don't worry, we got a gig in 8 hours. I got this covered." And his drum tech took over on the drums, and he played the entire set on the bass, sang the backup vocals. I've never seen anything quite like it. And then with Todd, I mean, what can't Todd do? I mean, he's an incredible singer. He's a great bass player. He's a great songwriter. I mean,
Age of Electric.
Age of Electric, baby. So
and a lot of people don't know Brent can play almost any instrument.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll sit behind a piano, anything.
He's really gifted. So Canada, you should be proud of your boys, for sure.
Thank you, Myles.
Thank you. Thanks, Mitch.
Cheers.
Pleasure.
That was great.
All right.
And there you have it, folks. My interview with singer Myles Kennedy of Alter Bridge and, of course, Slash's band. Please check out their new album, The Last Hero. And, if you can, check out Heavy Montreal, happening every August in the beautiful city of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And with that, I bid you a fond farewell and remind you to please check me out on Twitter at Mitch Lafon, Facebook, one-on-one Mitch Lafon, paypal.me/Mitch Lafon. That's all for now. Cheers. Bye for now. And here's a little bonus outtake for you. Oh my.
We are speaking with Myles Kennedy of Alter Bridge, which is interesting to say because for many years we've said of Slash's band and of Cosmic Dust.
Ha!
Going
I don't
all
know
the
if
way
anyone
back.
said that, but it's a long time ago.
So let's
Sorry, just following.
so we got to start again.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
All right.
The joys of recording in a live setting. That is truly it for now. Bye for now. Oh my.